We have 4 days to get our preparations done for Thanksgiving, because on day 5, that's going to be Thursday. That's it. That's it. So we are going to have to work today, and we're going to stay focused. Hello, I'm Leona Dooley, and this is Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme, where we work hard, we love God and family, and we know without a doubt that everything else is just gravy. Now, we are working in the kitchen today, and we are working trying to do some preparation for Thanksgiving because it is just around the corner. So we have done our chopping and our dicing, we've done those kind of things, and now it's just time to put everything together. So we're going to do that. We can do it so that it is somewhat relaxed for Thanksgiving. For me, now I don't know about you, but for our household, we're going to be down to 2. So most of my containers are going to be fairly small. But you know what? I think I'm going to make enough where I can actually prepare 2 rather than 1. So 1 serving for a meal will actually be in here. This will be for Thanksgiving. And the second part will be in a doubled Ziploc bag so that I can use it later, because while we're preparing it, we might as well, while we're dirtying things up, we might as well get it done, because this is really the only time I really fix corn pudding, and I don't cook a lot of macaroni and cheese like I used to, and so I try to keep some in the freezer so that when I want it, I can always go to it and it's ready to go. Now, for those of you who are new to the channel and new subscribers, let me say to you, thank you so much. I am so appreciative to you. I am happy to have you as a part of our family. And you know what? I hope you've taken the time to see some of the other preparations that we've made, not only for fall, but preparations we've got coming for winter and Christmas. And we are taking a breath and just enjoying life and enjoying every day. And most of all, we're finding joy. And I hope you are doing the same. For those of you who are my tried and true subscribers and you're a part of the family and been a part of the family forever, then you know I love it, and I hope you will continue to do so. I am enjoying being able to provide content on the channel, and really it's as much of a blessing to me to be able to do it as it is to be able to share it with you, because I love your comments. I love when you comment, because it gives me a chance to chit chat and we go back and forth and talk about a few things. And so please share with me some of those things that you are going to be doing during this Thanksgiving, winter into Christmas season, and some of the things that are tradition and some of the things that you might be doing new because of our interruption in our normal daily routine. That's what I'm going to call it, an interruption. I'm not claiming that other thing. So we've had a little interruption. We aren't exactly doing things the way we usually do it for Thanksgiving, but you know what? We are still here, and we're thankful. So without further ado, let's get down to some cooking. Now, for our corn pudding, if you're just making one casserole for one evening, and you know that you're going to have other dishes to go along with it, this is going to be the perfect size. It involves, I'm going to need I use evaporated milk, 1 can. I won't need all of it, but I'll need some of it, and I'll save the rest and use in the macaroni and cheese. And you're going to need 3 cans of cream style corn, 3 cans. Now, cream style corn is not created equal. Certain brands have a little more liquid and are a little more juicy, so to speak, whereas other brands are pretty thick. So you have to play with the thickening portion of it. So I'm going to open these 3 cans. I'm going to look to see how juicy my corn is. If it looks really, really juicy, I will tell you kind of what I do to take care of that. All right, I'm going to pour the 3 cans into my container here. Now, as I said, I'm not cooking this today. I'm putting it together, and I'm actually going to, this is Sunday for me, and I am going to put it together, throw it in the freezer, and then that way I can just take it out that morning, Thanksgiving morning, or even Wednesday night, and that morning it'll be ready to go into the oven. But this way I can save time, save some of the work on Thursday. It's just going to be pop-on up, but you know what? We can find other things to do. All right, so those are the 3 cans of corn that we're putting in. Make sure I got a little piece of paper there. All right, got that. Now, I'm going to add in about, to start out with, about a 1/4 cup of evaporated milk. I typically put an egg per can, and so we'll look at that and see, because we do want that pudding. We're going to need some butter. Like I said, we're going to put in about a 1/4 cup. Let me get my little container. Okay, got our milk in. We're going to put in a couple of teaspoons of cinnamon. And depending upon how much cinnamon you like, you may opt to cut it back or increase it. That's up to you. I'm going to use a smaller spoon. So I'm using a 1/2 teaspoon. That's fine with me. I like that. That should be enough. Oops. Drop that. Got that in there. Got our 1/2 teaspoon in, our 1/4 cup of evaporated milk. Now, we need sugar. Okay, so I am going to add about, let's see what I got here. I'm going to add, this is a 1/4 cup. I'm going to start with a 1/4. And some of the tasting you're going to need to do before you put the eggs in. So I'm just going to stir that up. Now, I haven't put any thickeners in here. We're just trying to get the flavor of the corn pudding the way we want it. This is going to be good. We're going to need to add some salt. About, I'd say we'll start with about a 1/2 teaspoon to a teaspoon of salt. If you like salt, then you may want a teaspoon, but I'm going to go with a 1/2 teaspoon to get started. I think that's going to be enough. And if somebody wants extra salt, they can always add more, but I don't like a lot of salt. Okay, now I'm going to take my 1/2 stick of butter and I'm going to place it in a dish. I'm going to get this melted, and as soon as it's melted, I will, it's pretty soft, but it's not soft enough to keep me from having to use a mixer. And we're going to do this without a mixer today, so let me get this melted. Now, while that's melting, and before I throw this away inadvertently, I'm going to take this wrapper, and I am going to use the little bit of butter that's on there to grease the sides of my dish. That's a good way to get it nice and clean. You aren't wasting. So I've got my dish nice and greased, and I've used the wrapper, so now I can throw it away. I'll put in our half stick of butter. I'm going to get my tool here, and we're going to get this mixed up. Notice, haven't put the eggs in, haven't put any flour in, we're just taking care of flavors. Now I like just a touch of vanilla, and I'm going to put my recipe down below, but I like a capful of vanilla in mine. There we go. Woo, running low, but I think I have a new model. All right. Oh, smell that vanilla and that cinnamon. That smells wonderful. Okay, now I need a spoon. Take the end. I want to make sure it's sweet enough. Not too sweet, but just sweet enough. And the cinnamon to vanilla ratio is just right. So that was a half teaspoon of cinnamon and a little cap of vanilla. I put in a 1/4 cup of evaporated milk, and I put in a 1/4 cup of sugar. Now, so we have to work on the flour. Now I'm going to add in a 1/4 cup. And we're going to give it a good stir. It's going to take a minute for all this to come together. Because you have to look at it and see, is that tight enough? Or do you need a little more? Because we still have eggs to put in here. I think I'm going to sprinkle in just a little more. Not a lot. That was about 1/8 of a teaspoon that I put in. So this was 1/4 of a cup, and then half of that. So we've got about 1, 2, 3/8. So a 1/4 and a half of a 1/4. There you go. Best way to tell you. That way you don't have to have so many little tools and spoons and things to dirty up. Oh yeah, that's good texture. Now we're ready to put the eggs in. Now in a separate bowl, we're going to break 3 eggs. All right, 3 eggs. Let's get that done. Okay, I have my eggs. I have my container. There's one. Whoop. That's why you do it off to the side. Yes, I got a shell in there. Always tap it on the side. 2. And 3. 3 eggs. I'm going to get a fork. We're going to beat this, because this is too large to go in this cup. Okay, our egg is ready. All right, so we're going to add our egg to our mixture. There we go. Now, what are you guys fixing for Thanksgiving? And is it only going to be you and your immediate family, your family bubble within your home? We are not inviting anyone in, nor are we going to anyone's house at this point. Our grandchildren's school is having a little bit of an issue, and so unfortunately, that has really eliminated our being able to go in their house. Now, while they are not having problems themselves, we're just being cautious and being careful. So we're staying home for Thanksgiving, and we'll probably be home for Christmas. But, you know, God is working it out. So we're just being patient and being obedient. All right, let's get this cleaned up. I'm going to pour this into my dish. I'm going to leave about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch airspace at the top. So because it's going to bubble, So I'm going to pour that in. There we go. Got it right there. And you'll see I still have some for another day. So I am going to get my Ziploc bag, and I'm going to put it in the Ziploc bag. Okay, I've got the Ziploc bag. It has been labeled, and I'm going to pour in what's left in my container. I'm going to do it over the sink just in case. You know, there's always a chance. Now, let me get a spatula and make sure I get everybody in the pool. Because let's face it, you don't want to lose any of this goodness. All right, so everything's in, all out of the bowl. And when I freeze it, I'm going to freeze it flat. So once it's frozen, I can stand it up in my freezer. So this is ready to go into the freezer. Now, not only am I putting the corn pudding into the freezer that way, I'm also going to cover this dish with starting with some wax paper, which I know I'm going to have to take out once we get ready to actually cook it. I'm going to cover it with a layer of cling wrap, plastic wrap. Okay, and then I'm going to add some heavy-duty foil. You want to make sure it's secure, especially putting it into your freezer. You do not want anything to go wrong. Okay, Thanksgiving corn pudding for 2 is ready. And there it is. Wasn't that quick? All right, guys, we're going to work on the dressing, and then we'll get to the next part. All right, so you remember we prepped this celery, and I am going to put our celery into a small skillet. So I'm going to move this off to the side, move everything out of the way, because we need a little bit of butter, and we need to get the skillet in place. I have to tell you, I feel so unusual having just a little bit of dressing, a little bit of corn pudding, a little bit of everything because it's just the two of us. Normally, we are fixing mega amounts. So I'm going to use about 3 tablespoons of butter because we have quite a bit of breading. And I'm going to let that melt. It's not going to take long to do this. I'm going to put in at least about 1.5 cups of celery and onions. I have some herb dressing cubes, cut up cubes. This is by Pepperidge Farm that I have in there. And I'm also going to use some cornbread. Okay, our 3 tablespoons of butter is in this skillet and melted. I'm going to add in a couple of scoops of, let me get a smaller scooper. There we go. This is a 1/2 cup. So I'm going to see what it looks like once I get it in. So that's about a 1/2 cup of celery. I think I'm going to put in just a little bit more. Thought a 1/2 cup would do it, but I think we need just a tad bit more. Okay, that's our 1/2 cup of celery. And you know that's been in the freezer. We prepped that a couple weeks ago. And I'm going to put in about an equal amount of onion. So let me get my scoop. There's our 1/2 cup of onion. There we go. I think we need maybe just a tiny bit more. Not a lot. There we go. Now, because they've been in the freezer, they're a little bit watery, but that's okay. We're going to need those juices. So I'm just zipping these up so I can return them to the freezer because they're still just a little bit icy. Now, we're going to let this get good and hot, and then we're going to start adding in some seasonings. Now I've got my little spoons over here, and let me that I washed up from the last. We need a little bit of garlic powder, so I'm going to put in about a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. Put in about a 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, because you know onions and onion powder have a different flavor. So I'm going to put in about almost a 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder. I'm going to add in some black pepper. Put in about a teaspoon of black pepper. And we'll probably need, I better start with a 1/2 teaspoon of salt because I'm not sure how salty our Pepperidge Farm is. And plus we've got to add broth. So you definitely don't know. Excuse me. You never know how salty those kind of things are. So you see how good and juicy this is? I like that. So I'm going to give this just a few more minutes. Now, because we're doing this early, I'm going to add in some chicken bouillon because I don't have my turkey done yet, so I don't have actual turkey stock. So I'm going to use my chicken bouillon, but I will have, of course, lots of turkey stock and those kind of things after we bake the turkey. Okay, I'm going to put in about a teaspoon because we're going to need that, maybe and a 1/2. About a teaspoon and a 1/2. Now this is for a small batch. You may not need, we'll see if we need any more. I don't think so. Now, what I like to do, I want to get that hot. I want everybody to be happy with each other. Now over here in the bowl, if you can see, let me raise you up just a bit so you can see better. Okay, now over in this bowl, I'm going to add in, because this is a small batch, a quarter of a recipe of cornbread that I'm going to break up. This is cornbread I made, or you could get some Jiffy and make a recipe, and because I always put cornbread in mine. Now I do dressing, not stuffing. It's stuffing when you're going to put it in your turkey, but it's dressing when you're cooking it on the side. So for those who may not know that, most of you already know. I know. You're going, I already knew that. But just in case there's somebody out there who doesn't know, we need to make sure we clarify, because sometimes we tend to just use whichever word comes to us first. But we want to make sure that you know, even though I may say, ooh, I'm going to have some stuffing, but when I really mean I'm going to have some dressing. Okay, so there's our container, and let's see, that's about, I'd say about 1.5 cups, almost 2 cups. Now I'm going to start to add in the Pepperidge Farm. Now, I am using, most of the time when I'm doing a large batch of this, I use an entire bag with an entire recipe of cornbread. Now we're not doing that. So I am going to scoop in a little more. I'm going to say we probably are going to use about 2 cups. Okay, that's what we're going to start, about 2 cups. With our cornbread in there, mixed up in there. Woo, he's jumping out. Now, as you can see, all of this is very dry, but you don't want your dressing to be dry. You want it to be moist, so that's the reason why we're kind of keeping those juices going. All right. So we're going to add, because this is pretty liquidy at this point, I'm going to pour all of this into our recipe. Like I said, I'll give you the instructions down in the description box. So there's those are our veggies. Now, some people like to put in sausage. Some people chop up their little pieces, their giblets, and put them in their dressing. Now I'm going to probably add about another cup, at least, of chicken broth. Okay, I've got some chicken broth. I have my 1/2 cup measure. I'm going to put it in by 1/2 cups. So that's a 1/2 cup. Then I'm going to stir to see what the consistency is going to be, because I want this very moist. And you can already tell that between the Pepperidge Farm and the cornbread, that they are soaking up the liquids. Okay, we're going to need another 1/2 cup. You never want to just start pouring, because what happens is that invariably you'll get it too wet. And of course, if you don't really take it slowly, you're going to have it either too wet or too dry. And you're going to be adding gravy, hopefully, on top of this. So it's going to be perfect. So I'm going to do 1 more half cup at least. Let me do another cup. So it really was 2 cups. Okay, I hit it pretty much on the nose. You know, it just kind of depends on your ingredients and how juicy they were. Now you notice I have not put an egg in. Your egg is your binder. But we will add an egg, but you always leave that to absolutely last because this is what you need to do. Get you some and turn you up. You need some in your spoon. The salt is just right. I'll put that over there so I won't accidentally use it. But I think I want a little more pepper. Okay. And everything else, seasoning wise, is just right. Now, this is when we'll make a little well in there. And we're going to add an egg. But we're not going to crack the egg over the dressing because you know what happens invariably. So I've got my half cup measure right here. I'm going to crack my egg right into it to make sure that I don't have any shells. And voila, there we go, right there in the dressing. Now I've got a fork, clean fork. I'm putting things directly into the sink, and I'm going to take this and I am going to give it a good mix. You'll be able to tell by looking at it when the egg is throughout the entire mixture. Oh yeah. Now, I'm going to wipe the stove off. I'm going to bring the dish over, and we'll be ready to get things into the dish and get it covered up and ready to go into the freezer. All right, I'm going to take my oil spray. Give our dish a little spray so that it won't stick too bad. Okay, there we go. That's done. And what I like to do with my dressing, I like to put it into serving sizes. So I am looking for my ice cream scoop because what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoop and make these cute little balls. Now, let's see if he's going to cooperate. There we go. Let's see if he's working. Oh, he's working today. Okay, sometimes my ice cream scoop doesn't work. Today he is. Of course, I guess it's because I'm not messing with ice cream. This way you can also kind of portion out, you know, exactly, you know, you figure how many people you're going to have. And what you can do, I think I'm going to try to squeeze in, well, That should probably be enough for us. And then in the other dish, I'm just going to put it in there. I'm going to put it into a Ziploc bag, and that's going to be it. So let's put the rest of this in a Ziploc, and this is going in the freezer as well. Let me find the right spoon, and we'll get this into, there we go. And you know, that's just enough probably for, if it has to be just the two of us for Christmas, that's enough for us to have more dressing at Christmas. Christmas, Thanksgiving, that's the dressing time. All right, there we go. All right, we've got to wrap this up. I'm going to do the exact same thing that we did with the corn pudding. I'm going to wax paper it, cling wrap it, and then foil it. Okay, here's our wax paper that we're going to put in there. Give it a good fold. Down over it. We're trying to protect it, keep it from any kind of burn. Now, here's our cling wrap. You know, that stuff that drives you crazy. Glass is supposed to be the best, but you know what? It has its days when it's not, doesn't make me happy. All right, so we've got our wrap that's clinging around our container. And because this is ready, I'm going to actually double our foil. So sometimes bread. Now, let me remind you of something. If you are doing this and prepping the day before, then at this point, you're going to put this directly into your refrigerator and it's good to go. But remember, this is the Sunday before Thanksgiving. So I am prepping in advance. So mine really does have, I think, has to go because of the egg. It needs to go in the freezer. So I'm going to keep it into the freezer until Wednesday night, and I will pull things out of the freezer Wednesday night, put it into the refrigerator, and it'll be ready to go. Now, so that part's ready. Here's our bag of dressing, of extra dressing. So if we want dressing to go with some chicken or something else, I've got it already prepared. I've got our corn pudding. Corn pudding's right there. I've got a freezer bag of corn pudding that we're going to freeze flat. And I have a couple of cooked bags of rice that I wanted to have in the freezer as well, that I prepped while we were doing this. So our rice is done also. So we've accomplished 2 dishes in less than an hour for Thanksgiving. And that's just going to make our Thursday that much more pleasant because we're not going to be scrambling around the kitchen. So I am so excited. Let me bring you up. I am so excited that you've been with me today, that we've been able to stay in the kitchen and just have a good time together. I hope that your family is blessed. I hope that you are all safe and well. I pray that you have the absolutely mostest Thanksgiving that you can possibly imagine. And you know how that happens? It's all about the mindset. You wake up that day, you wake up thankful and joyful, because I certainly am. Now, if you will do this for me, I want you to, in the comment section, to write in at least 3 things that you are thankful for. 3 things that you're thankful for. And I'm going to do the same. So you'll be able to see what I'm thankful for as well as what you're thankful for. So let's share with each other, because sometimes when you're going through things and going through the midst, and some of us have lost friends and family, and whether it was because of our current situation or whether it was just natural causes or illness, it's been a tough 9 months. And so because of that, we need to remind each other of how blessed we truly are. So, many blessings to you. I pray that you have a wonderful day. And we're going to do some more prep tomorrow, because we didn't get to those greens today, but I don't have time. I got to get dinner ready for today, for Sunday dinner ready. Now, so we're going to work on those greens and the sweet potatoes tomorrow. So
when I say I'm thankful, I really need to clarify, because the word thankful is unique to each of us. I am thankful for the love of God in my life and how He has provided everything I've needed. I am thankful that God has kept my family, my husband, my children, my grandchildren, and extended family near and far. I am thankful for good health. I am thankful also for caregivers who are working tirelessly to provide for those who are unable to care for themselves. God has given us technology to connect and to teach us. Our sermons, schools, and businesses amazingly are operating every day. Thank you, God. I am so thankful that God has kept my mind and heart open so I can continue to grow, educate, to love, and to inspire others. I am also thankful that I have common sense to separate the lies from the truth. I am thankful for obedience. I am thankful that I can still hear His voice. And when I do, I have to take action.